Hi, y'all. I'm Allison, and I need your help. My bookcases are turning into a hot mess, and I want to reorganize my shelves. I have a lot of old books on here that I picked up early 2000s. I have never read them. I'm frankly a little tired of looking at them, and my interest is waning quite seriously. But I don't want to give away any hidden gems. So if y'all can let me know if these are worth holding on to and putting on my TBR, or if it's time to go out the door because they weren't that spectacular anyway, and I won't be missing out. So there's no rhyme or reason to this list. We're just gonna start going through the books that I pulled. Let me know if I have some hidden gems in here. I don't want to unhaul ones that I could have potentially really enjoyed. And I also don't want to hold on to books that I'm not going to get to or aren't worth my time. So help me. We're going to start with a very old series. And I think these started in the 70s. And that is The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart. This is King Arthur, Legend of King Arthur. I have the entire series, 4 books, that I picked up at half price at least 10, 15 years ago, and I still haven't gotten to it. My hesitation is, while I love Arthurian legends and King Arthur and all of that, Camelot, I know there's a lot of incest in this one, and I don't know that I particularly want to deal with that. I think I started it at one point and got sidetracked with something else. So if anybody has actually read these, well, the incest in itself is ew, depending on how it's handled. God, that sounds awful. You know, it's not a definite no for me. I would assume it's handled well because this is a well-known classic now, and yeah. So if anybody's actually read them, let me know if I should hold on to these and get to them, or if they have passed their prime and it's time to go. You know what? I've got some other fantasy over here. So this one is another one I got from half price, thrifted, and it's What the Dickens. It's the story of a rogue tooth fairy. This is by Gregory Maguire, and didn't he write Wicked, the retelling of Wizard of Oz? I may be completely wrong. So if anybody has read this one, let me know. I don't typically gravitate towards fae or fairies, but I was intrigued at one point by a rogue tooth fairy. So keep it, or should it go? Got a monster of an omnibus. The Dark is Rising. It's actually 5 books. Oversea, Under Storm, Dark is Rising, Green Witch, The Grey King, and Silver on the Tree. Okay, wow. So copyrights on this start from 1965 to 1977. 65 book was renewed in 93, and the remaining were renewed 2001 to 2005. So this came out in 2005. Classic fantasy. So the Dark is Rising, and there's a group of 6 that have to fight it to keep it from taking over the world. So your typical dark versus light. The 6 fight fear and death in a quest through time and space, interwoven with Britain's myths. So if anybody has read this series or knows about it, let me know. By the way, if any of these are intriguing to you and you want me to read them and let you know if they were good, then let me know that as well. Okay, let's move on. I doubt anyone will have heard of this book. It's Monster Blood Tattoo. Book 1 is Founding. I bought this for my son way back in the day when he was in middle school. If you kill a monster, you get a tattoo made of the monster's blood. And for untold centuries, people of the half-continent have lived in conflict with these monsters. So we have a Rosamund Bookchild, a boy with a girl's name, lived a sheltered life. But it all changes when a man with strange red and pale blue eyes recruits him into the warriors of the Emperor. And he also falls in with mysterious and beautiful Europe. She's one of the monster hunters who can shoot electricity out of her body and call lightning from the sky. So, I don't know. I can see why I picked it up for him. This might actually be quite a fun read. I would assume it's middle grade. Let me know what you think. Moving right along, let's skip over to like contemporary romance stuff. This one was a gift for me. 2 by 2 by Nicholas Sparks. I believe it is a father and his daughter after a divorce. Yeah, you've got a 32-year-old ad executive. Everything's going well. In a matter of months, he loses his wife, his job, and he's caring for his 6-year-old daughter on his own. So I don't know if it was divorce or something else. So single parents, and then he, I guess, has a chance encounter with an old flame. I have enjoyed some Nicholas Sparks, but he's not one I gravitate towards. Is this one of his better books? I did like The Notebook, and I think that's the extent of my reading from him. All right, then I have 2 in a trilogy. It's the Somerset Abbey trilogy. Yeah, 1913, sprawling manor on the outskirts of London. 3 women seek to fulfill their destinies and desires amidst the unspoken rules of society and the distant rumblings of war. So this would be a World War I historical fiction romance. Has anybody heard of these? So I'm thinking, I think I got these when the Downton Abbey started, because love Downton Abbey. Complete jump from contemporary romance or historical romance. I think this one has quite the following, but for some reason I just never pick it up. It's The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. So in Warwickshire, we have Dr. Faraday, who is a respected country physician, and he is called to the Ayers home. It's a Georgian home that has stood for 2 centuries, and it is now in decline. The doctor discovers that the family living there, they may be haunted by more than just a dying way of life. So I guess this is a ghost story, Gothic ghost story. I've seen it on people's TBRs, but I don't know if it's actually worth reading. So if you've read it, let me know. Okay, one more from the horror area is Dracula the Undead, and this is the sequel to the original classic, written by Drake Stoker and Ian Holtz. Okay, so we've got a quarter of a century after Dracula. We've got Mina and Jonathan Harker's son leaves law school to become an actor, only to stumble upon the troubled production of Dracula, produced by Bram Stoker himself. It's written in part by the great-grandnephew of Bram Stoker. So I don't know if this one is actually worth the read or if its hype was simply for the familial connection. So has anybody read this one? I am intrigued by it, but I don't want it to take space if something else can go there. Speaking of vampires, I have the Vampire Diaries. I think I didn't pull all of them. There's like 6 of them. I really think these are probably just going to go unless somebody stops me, because while I loved the TV show, I was not the original books. No, those weren't. This was one case where the show was better than the books. And while I was enjoying that thoroughly at the time, I snagged these up going, ooh, we get more of the TV version of these characters. I've since discovered that I think these are all from Stefan's point of view. And while I suspected it the first time I watched Vampire Diaries, watching it again recently, I realized Stefan annoys me to no end. I am definitely, and have always been, Team Damon, but Stefan didn't bother me back then as much as he did during this rewatch. So I don't think I can suffer through 6 more books of Stefan brooding. If somebody has read these and there is a lot of Damon in it, and Caroline and Klaus, then let me know, because that would make it worthwhile. All right, one more vampire one. This is Otherworldlies by Jennifer Ann Cogler. So it's supposed to be an original take on vampires. We have Fern. She's always known she was a little different. Blistered in the sun, she could communicate with her dog and has predicted the weather for 2 years. And then one day she wakes up on a sandy beach miles away from home. And then a sinister vampire arrives and she finds that she's in the middle of a centuries-old battle. Has anybody heard of this series? This came out, I would assume, when all of the Twilight vampire hype was big. I do love a good vampire story, so nice to come across a unique one. Yeah, 2008. Moving right along, I think this one was quite popular. It's Remember Me by Christopher Pike. This is the omnibus bind-up of Remember Me, The Return, and The Last Story. Yeah, so Sherry wakes up dead, and the last thing she remembers is falling from the balcony at her friend's party. And her death was ruled as suicide. She knows she was murdered, and her closest friends are now suspects. So Sherry is out for justice and revenge because she realizes that her friends weren't what she thought. So was this worth all the space on the shelf and all the time it's going to require to read this series? So I have seen it in quite a few people's like Goodreads profiles. So if this is like a hidden gem and worth the read, please let me know. I also have the Gone, Fade, and Wake trilogy by Lisa McMannon. So I guess this one has something to do with dreams. Our main character, 17-year-old Janie, gets sucked into other people's dreams. Eventually, she stops just witnessing other people's dreams and she becomes a participant in them. So if this was a good series, tell me and I will hold on to it. Continuing with our ghosts, I ended up with an order to all of this that I didn't realize. So we have the Body Finder and The Last Echo and Desires of the Dead. I'm not sure what the order. I do like the covers. So it's supposed to be romance, mystery, and I guess fantasy. So she's confused by her new feelings for her best friend. And she also is more disturbed by her power. She has the ability to sense when there's a dead body nearby. So has anybody read this trilogy? I think I read the first one, but I don't think I ever continued on. And that might have been when my massive 10-year reading slump hit. Let's go from ghosts to angels. I have Fallen, 1, 2, 3. This one. I believe I saw I think they made a TV series out of this, and Stefan from Vampire Diaries played the main guy. Aaron begins to hear strange voices. He is convinced he's going insane. Grew up in the foster care. Aaron turns out to be the son of a mortal and an angel, and he has been chosen to redeem the fallen angels. So, is this one of those cringeworthy YA series that came out 2010 or so, or is this one actually worth holding on to and making my way through? Yes, hello. Come here. Lily's here. She's got her squeaker. Okay. Yes. She wants to play. Can you look? No, bonk. Okay, down, girl. Get down. Well, Lily wants to go play, so we're just gonna call it here, and I will break this into 2 videos because this has gotten much longer than I would expect. So let me know if there's any in here that I absolutely need to read, or if there's even some that have some potential, or third option, that you're interested yourself, and I will make sure and get it on my list. All right, now to clean up the mess I've made and to play with Lily. Y'all have a good one, and I hope to see you next time. Bye now.